Hey, welcome in, folks. This is Babbaginator. We're back in the long dark. I've been gone for a week, so a little bit of catch up right now. Been in Montreal for a conference, and now we are here trying to live our best life. Midday, big storm. Yeah, what is life like out here? So where are we at here? We're at 5 days. We leave on day 6. We've got one more day to go. Hey, EG, welcome in. Good to see you. Thanks for the hydrate. Cheers. Big stretch. Way up. Honestly, I should have done this earlier today. Big stretch. And down to the Baba. There we go. Oh, I've forgotten how derpy our good old Astrid looks right now with her Where's Waldo outfit. Let's see. Good. Crappy, but okay. Repair these? Do I want to repair these? No. Practice our sewing. So yeah, I'm back after a week in Montreal. My conference went well. Had a lot of fun. Studying text encoding. Foundations of text encoding. This, of course, I took, which is studying TEI, which is a particular approach for turning a text document into basically a flat database. Kind of cool. By encoding different parts of the text in ways that mark it up. And allow you then to do other things to extract that data or interact with that data or visualize that data. Good on bandages. What else do we have there? Could make a torch. Although we haven't been to every space in the region, we have been to a lot of them. Yeah, so how was this past week? So yeah, in addition to spending like the 20 hours of being in class, I also spent time with my friends going to restaurants, and a few nights when no one else was available, just going to restaurants on my own. Yeah. Luckily, I have this is all counted as professional research, professional development. So the university will cover most of my expenses, and what they don't cover comes out of my professional development fund, which they set aside for me. So yeah, it's pretty good. We splurged on my last day. We went to Restaurant Dorcia, which is apparently a Michelin-starred restaurant in Montreal. Very fancy, very expensive. I wish I had thought ahead, so I would have packed a slightly better, more appropriate pair of pants for that. I think I looked fine, but I did feel like I could have dressed up a little bit more. I just didn't have room in my luggage and didn't plan ahead for that. Oh, I just noticed. Thanks, EG, for the resub. 36 months. That's 3 years. Have we been doing this that long? Wow. It's amazing. I keep on thinking it's been 2.5 years, but it's actually been longer than that. Anything else we can do here? We started off in this region and yeah. So this is our second time in this area around the community center, so it's not like there's anything we haven't searched already. I also had an interesting. So on what was it, Tuesday night, we had a reception on the part of our opening days of the conference, and in that reception, I was hanging out with meeting some new people and chatting with people, and I got to know kind of an eclectic, unexpected group of people who were, two of them were filmmakers, one of whom had actually previously been like, a rock star, kind of. Yeah, a number of years back, and then had gone into academic work in music and cultural studies, and well, actually, no, he had gone into film, but he had a little bit of background in music and cultural studies, and yeah, so he and another person were made the suggestion that they lamented the fact that we had this wonderful, unexpected conversation after the reception out in sort of this open plaza area on a table, and we just had this really wonderful conversation about culture and arts and creating and other things, and they said we really should have had this recorded, and then someone said we should make a movie about this, or at least something, an experimental film, a short experimental film. So Thursday night we actually met up, and there was a funny story about that. We were supposed to meet up to do this thing, and we had made a appointment for a time and a place, but had forgotten to exchange contact information. So it was just like I showed up at the thing a couple minutes late. Apparently I just missed the rest of them, and I was ready to write it off as like, I guess we're not doing it tonight. And then I got a message because I'd given someone in that group a copy of my second book, of Babbage's Dream, and they had looked me up and found my email that way. And so it reached out to me, and then we were able to get back on track to meet up. And so, yeah, we ended up spending the early part of Thursday evening doing an experimental film where we just kind of took a lot of shots around the campus, and these long escalators or these kind of empty passageways underground, and having a conversation um, uh, about, one question was, this one didn't come from me. Someone else posed a question about what do we fear? What are we afraid of? And, and then I kind of brought things to the question about, given that so many of us have grown up or like not from here or grew up in different places, moved around a lot over the course of our adult lives, what is a home for us? What makes something home as opposed to simply the place where we sleep at night or store some things? And so we had that conversation and a few other conversations about expectations, differences between generations when it comes to like knowing how to navigate, some of the current, well, there's always been there, complexities around race and identity, um, especially since there were, at least one person was like very straight white male, and aware that sometimes he said and did things that bothered people, but wasn't really certain how to address that, how to, to what extent is it sensitivity on one person's part, and what extent are there things that we need to address and change. So, anyways, it was an interesting conversation. Yeah. So, anyways, they made a little short experimental film. I will probably take them a few weeks to cut it together. And then I think the plan is to release it online, make it available for us to look through, and then maybe it'll get a little bit wider publication. But I'll let you know if it turns into something that is available. Okay. Hey, welcome in, Game Ranger Kevin. Welcome in. We are doing Roll With It. Well, 6 o'clock now, or day 6. It's time for us to pick up and head out.
I'm not sure I can carry much more.
Okay, so, yeah, if you're unfamiliar with this, we are doing a challenge called Roll With It, something that I invented. You rolled 12 action dice? Yeah, it's a little... The short version is basically we visit every region in the world, but the length of time we stay is randomly determined once we arrive. So, and you'll see this in a second. We're about to... Oh, come on. So we are staying here until day 6, and it is now day 6, so we can officially leave. And where are we going? We're going to go to Coastal Highway, is the plan. How much cloth do we have? We have tons of cloth. We're good. The wind has stopped, which is great. So once we arrive, we roll a die, and it tells us how long we're going to stay. We may have to abandon our guts here, because I think... You know what? We are going to leave our guts. Because there's a bear. And we'll have chances to get guts in other places. You missed when my only choice was to go to PV. Hey, in some sense, due to psychological scarring with BlackRock, my only choice is to go to Coastal Highway. So, yeah, at this point, we do have a hacksaw, and we have pot and pan, but we don't have... I think we don't have a lantern. We don't have a bedroll, and we don't have... we don't have a bedroll, and we don't have the hammer yet. So we're going to really hope. Yeah, Blackrock is miserable. Oh, when there were only 3 regions, yeah. Hey, House 75, welcome in. And you know what? Before we get too far into this, we'll throw a shout out for Game Ranger. See if you are streaming anywhere. Looks like you do. A clip. That is not the one though. And let's see. Okay, and no clip. Okay. So yeah, for the first 50 days, it is 1 to 10 days in each major region, so Coastal Highway, Mystery Lake, etc. And then 1 to 4 days in each transition zone, which would be any micro region. So Crumbling Highway, Winding River, but I also count like Milton Basin as its own little region, and the Climb Down region between Milton and Mystery Lake. So in those regions, you roll a 4-sided die. It tells you how long you're going to be there. You can't leave early and you can't leave late. And the success of the run is largely impacted by the spawn time. If you spawn too late in the day, it could be very, very challenging to get out. Yeah. The micro-regions used to be, before beachcombing, micro-regions used to be really, really difficult. Yeah, after day 50, everything scales up. You go to a 1 to 20 for the major regions and a 1 to 6 for the micro-regions. Then day 100, micro-regions go to 1 to 8, and day 150, they go to 1 to 10. So you could potentially get stuck in the ravine, for instance, for 10 days straight. And a lot of these regions are not designed, like the micro-regions are not designed for long stays. So if you get stuck there or you're passing through multiple times in a row, you may have to strategize how you can live there for an extended amount of time. You know, if there, like the ravine doesn't have beachcombing, right? So, you know, do you eat every carcass the first time through, or do you leave a carcass knowing that you'll be passing through later? Do you plan to haul in food? Okay, Mr. We have the most ridiculous outfit on right now, by the way. Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, this is our crazy outfit right now. Leave us alone, buddy. So, yeah. So passing through, if you know you have a high traffic area, and I would say like Pleasant Valley is one of them, and Milton to some degree. But Forsaken Airfield's another one, as is the Transfer Pass. You know you're going to pass through them multiple times. Crumbling Highway is probably the trickiest, although it's gotten a lot easier now that we have beachcombing. So you can get stuck in those places without a lot of food, and sometimes you just really, yeah, PV is huge. The other challenge that comes out of this that we don't think about is not necessarily having to stay a long time in a region. It's also that sometimes you roll low and you have a very short time to stay in a region, and the region is very big. So, for instance, imagine if you get to Mystery Lake and you roll a 1. So you have exactly 24 hours to loot as much as you can, or at least to hit the highlights before you get out of the region. You'll probably get a chance to come back and re-loot later, but you can't do it all in 24 hours. Yeah, it's just totally, sometimes it's all you can do. So EG is actually taking up the challenge and does the modified version of it. And the challenge is definitely open for other people to tackle. I do like hearing back from people on how they progress. I have successfully completed this challenge once. It took me 303 days to do it, but we visited every region, and we had a number of regions where we had to stay 20 days. I think on that run we also got Forsaken. No, we got what was it? We got Zone of Contamination for the first time. It just been created. And we rolled a 20. So I had to survive in Forsaken Airfield for 20 days. And immediately afterwards went to Zone of Contamination, where I promptly rolled another 20. And having never been there before, I had to figure out how to survive in a completely unknown territory. And make it. So luckily we had, bow and arrows by that time, so we could actually, support ourselves, but it was nonetheless a bit of a challenge. Yeah, EG's version of this splits Bleak into upper and lower, which is a perfectly valid alteration you can make. Some people have different definitions of what constitutes a micro region as well. But if you do decide to give this a try, please let me know if you come back and hang out in the chat. Or just send me a message, a whisper, if you give it an attempt. Love hearing people and their experiences, as well as what kind of modifications they've tried.
I wonder if I can drop any of this gear.
Okay, so how are we doing for torches now? Not great, but should get us through to the other side. Okay. So we just need to get through here, and then we're going to head. And we roll once we get out. Now we have no bedroll, so our only options are to make our way to shelter or build a snow shelter out in the wild. I mean, the third option is just to go without sleep, but we don't want to do that. Score. That's what we wanted.
Hope nobody needs this anymore.
Probably not. So those of you joining us for the first time tonight, I've been gone for a week. I was at a conference in Montreal, and I am back. It feels good to be back. But I am mostly a TLD streamer at this point.
Not sure I'm hearing much more.
But I'm also known for doing streams about D&D. I don't have a live play or an actual play going on right now. I am running 2 different games offline, and during the pandemic ran a lot of games online. We want a random poem, says EG. So that's the other thing that we do on this channel is we read poetry. I am a published author with 2 books of poetry. And I sometimes teach creative writing classes. I am currently working as a librarian at the University of Toronto. Nope. Okay, so we'll do a quick pause here to read a poem. And we'll go to our random poem generator, poem chooser, Elegy for Gray. Okay, so this is from my first book of poetry, from The Lost Country is Sight, which won the Philip Levine Prize in 2007. It was published by Anhinga Press, which is a press in Tallahassee, Florida. And let's see, Elegy for Gray. So what we usually do is I'll read a poem, and then we do a little behind the poem, and then we go back to the game. Okay, Elegy for Gray. I guess the only thing you need to know, a poem that's called an elegy. An elegy is a type of poem that is dedicated to the memory of something, usually written after someone's passing, or a poem about grief or mourning, or something that is on the verge of disappearing or dying, or is missing. So, Elegy for Gray. Not quite cloud or brine, the color of drifting ash, or birch's thin pale at twilight. This aftermath of fire, half-toned sleep of the closing eye of the dead, a potter's hand full of watery clay. Slip, what fills the cracks in old brick walls and ships beneath the greening moss, fossil color of bone, mother of pearl, what lurks behind faded ink, newspapers shedding their skins, the wings of egrets poised at the water's edge, wind over graves, snow at dusk, the water's film running backward, to sorrow, to lament, Vesuvius streaming, gravel roads turning northward, the soft gleam of unearthed pearl or hair. But the waves return, sorrow, driftwood, worn tires, bits of chrome, weathered imprecision of photographs found beneath squirrels flickering in the dark-limbed trees. From the shadows birds call, unnamed, unknown, like a man pointing through fog to the sound of oars, or the unseen shudder of gulls, distance, the light failing, a suitcase in the rain, what we do not say at the close of night. So this poem came about because it was actually partly in response to a critique, a comment that my book mentor, well, I take that back. It's an interesting relationship or connection between this poem and the first half of the book. The first half of the book, when it got accepted for publication, the publisher sends it to the book editor / designer, who does the layout, topography, and cover design. And that person also happened to be a poet, and she had written back and said, just a small thing, but did you notice that the first 17 poems in your book all use the word gray? And I thought, no, I hadn't, because I thought of them as individual poems, and I hadn't really thought about like the recurrence of language quite like that. And she said, I'm not saying you change all of them, but I do want you to go back and think about, is gray always the right word? Are there other words that would make sense here? Other phrases or images? Or is this the right thing? And so I took her advice and went back and read closely. And it was an opportunity to kind of arrive at different images. And so there is a little bit of humor or irony for me in reading Elegy for Gray, because this was actually written because I was somewhat self-aware of the fact that I gravitate towards gray as a color, as a in-betweenness. And so I wrote this poem, Elegy for Gray, because I was like thinking, I do kind of lean on this word a lot. How can I describe the experience or the color or the feeling that gray gives me? And so without using the word gray. So I just made it a point of like evoking all these different images to create a picture or a scene, or to like all these different components that kind of suggest a grayness or a mistiness or a haziness or an in-betweenness. What other feelings I might associate, emotional contact that ties with the word gray, comes together there. And as well as things that like sound similar, like window for graves, is also, evokes the sense of gray, while also phonetically or sonically, having a similarity there too. So anyways, that's kind of how the poem originated. Thanks for that request, EG, and thanks all for hanging out with me for that poem. Okay, so we are back in the world of darkness. Speaking of world of darkness, I had never watched this before, even though it had been recommended a number of times. But the TV show, What We Do in the Shadows, which is kind of a mockumentary about contemporary vampires, and it's funny. It is really funny. And I recognize at least one of the actors as also being a major character in the IT Crowd, which is also hilarious. If you work in IT and have never watched the British comedy show The IT Crowd, you really must, because it is so perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we're working our way through the cave system here. It's not quite dark yet, but it is getting uncomfortably close. Whenever the clock turns over, or the calendar turns over to the day of departure, our rule is we have to be out of the old region by midnight. So I do sense that this is going to be a particularly challenging run, because our turnover time is so late in the day, which basically means we will plan. Let's see here. We should make plans to be out much earlier. Sometimes we'll have to be in the right neighborhood the day before, given how fickle and crazy the weather is. Okay. Oh, gotta make it. Okay, let's roll the dice and find out how long we're
I'm
going to
not
be
gonna be able
here.
to carry this.
Okay, so time for the dice roll, folks. How long are we going to be here? The answer is 5 days. We will be here for 5 days. Yeah, we almost got that 9. That would have been interesting. Let's see here. Okay. We do not need to take all the coal with us, so let's, it's a lot of coal. Okay, we can do that much. How many torches do we have left? Still plenty. Some of them crappy though, so. Well, we still got a little bit of light, so we'll take advantage of that. See if we get a hammer over here, or a bedroll. The better odds for getting the hammer. Okay. Oh, guys, let me in.
I can barely walk with this much gear.
Hey! Not a bedroll we can use. Oh, you think we should backtrack if there's no bedroll here? Yeah. Oh, it's 2 of these guys in here. Okay. Let's see when we want to eat here. So, you think if there's no hammer or bedroll on Coastal Highway, we go to Mystery Lake?
Come on, little fire. This pack is getting too heavy to carry.
I can survive no bedroll. But,
Perfect.
if there's no hammer, there's no hammer. And that kind of defeats the point of going to Desolation Point. So yeah, I can see that point. But yeah, you've seen me survive with, like, no bedroll. And sometimes no matches for extended periods of time, so...
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
Okay, so let's try to pull at least
Barely
3 more.
walk with this much gear.
Ooh. I'm getting sleepy. But I'm getting sleepy. Probably have to take a short break and stretch a little bit. Oh, sleepy. Okay, focus. Okay, we're going to take a short 2-minute break here while I go refill water, stretch, and reset here. Okay, back.
I'm not going to be able to carry this load for much longer.
I got myself a piece of banana bread. I made a couple loaves before I left on my trip to Montreal, and so put them in the freezer. And I took one out earlier today so that it would thaw out. And I can warm up and have warm banana bread with a little bit of butter. Definitely a winner. Okay. Let's figure out what we can get rid of here. Extra cans. Let's drop another 5 here. Choices are to go down or across. I think we will try going across and see if we can find anything useful in the... yeah, there was no hammer there, so... I tried the lookout tower. So we're going to push on for probably about another 15, 20 minutes. And I'm going to try to get some sleep. I am still running a little low. You know, it was such a short trip to Montreal, but it was such a long week. Still recovering. How much walking and how busy it was getting around campus and attending the class. So. And it was so hot. I'm looking forward. Tomorrow is a work from home day, so I don't have to worry about the commute. And that buys me half an hour extra sleeping time. Maybe a little bit more. Nice. Up here somewhere is most likely a wolf.
Starting to feel numb. Oh, so cold. I could eat a horse.
Uh-oh. I don't like this, we don't have flares. But we do get jumped by a wolf. What a bad news. Getting a little sleepy. Not quite day 7. Ooh. Okay.
Can you eat trees?
Mm. Yeah, I'm definitely feeling sleepy. So, no stream tomorrow night. So let's go. Whatchamacallit? Let's not forget to get the acorns. Okay, I'm getting sleepy, drifting already. Oh, getting sleepy. Sleepy, sleepy, sleepy.
I gotta eat soon.
Yeah. Gotta sleep soon, is what I mean. Okay. Okay. Feeling pretty tired here.
Come on, little fire. Come on. Come on, little fire. Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Okay. Feeling sleepy. Oh. Okay, getting kind of sleepy. No, very sleepy. Whoa, getting sleepy and sleepy. More and more sleepy. Okay, so we should probably just pack this in soon. We're gonna nap here for an hour. We'll eat something to go. Okay, I'm gonna wrap up a little early just because I am still pretty exhausted. So we'll catch up again next stream. So no stream tomorrow night because I have my Thursday night D&D group is moving to Monday this week, just for this week. Tuesday night I will be busy with D&D as well. Wednesday night I should be back on as with Thursday. Okay, so I am sleepy. Oof, I'm really sleepy. Okay, we're gonna wrap up here. Okay. Nap accomplished. Oh, I forgot to take the water out. It was kind of dumb. Oh. Oh, too sleepy. Okay, so I think we will hop over here, do another poem, and then we will wrap up for the night just because I am falling asleep on stream, which is not fun. I mean, some people find it funny, but I find it a little bit annoying. We'll get that one up to Case. Sure, we can do that one. This is from my second book of poetry, from Babbage's Dream, published by Sundred Publications in 2017. We're going to read a poem entitled Free. This collection of poetry revolves around the history of computers. 19th century mathematician Charles Babbage, who designed, partially finished, but never, worked on, partially completed, but never finished what would have been the first modern computer. And famous AIs, as well as modern programmers and programming experiences. This is inspired by... This poem is part of a series of poems inspired by my time as a computer games programmer. Yeah. Free. Oh, and a number of these poems take their titles as nods to different programming terms or, C++ terms. Free. D disappears on a Thursday, taken in some unforeseen rapture or ennui. His blue sweater lingers behind for months, still draped over a chair, half material, half ghost. There is no end to the mystery. When we call, the phone rings into an emptied room. Even the landlord knows nothing, says only that he was always quiet, almost invisible at times. Like Keys, that morning, he might have put his shoes on and stepped out into the fog, abandoned a car to the gulls wheeling overhead. He might have driven to Mexico or Korea, anywhere but here. Whether he too left a pair of red socks in the sink or kept some shadow of a cat named Lonesome as well, we do not know. In his cubicle we find a box of macadamia nuts, still sealed, unsavored, like the promise of winter in Los Angeles, or the threat of heavy rain in a late dry June. Wired to our programming tasks and computers, we want him free, want to see him that Thursday morning standing in front of his blackened mirror, trying on his name for the first time in years, noticing how it fit. A loose garment over the body, unfamiliar and lovely, each of us thinking how simple it would be to take it all back, to abandon the numbered world for the one made of flesh and blood, to stand outside, beneath the sun, the white buildings, the birds turning in an endless loop of feathered light. So this one, a number of things. Whenever I write about programmers that I work with, I reduce their names down to single initials, and it's two reasons why. One has to do with its nod to early days of programming, where often variables were single letters. And number two, it's a nod to the writer Franz Kafka, who, in his novels, The Trial and The Castle, in writing about bureaucracy, he always reduces everyone to people trying to deal with bureaucracy. The people like us are all reduced to single letters, and so that's kind of that in the shadow of bureaucracy and all this red tape and administration. We the people are letters. Variable names, easily replaced. Underlying all this is an actual story about one of my coworkers, Dan, who was really cool, very adept programmer, and he just quietly worked day in, day out. And the one day, he didn't come in. He never came back. And one weekend, he left on the Friday and he never came back. He never came back at all. And HR, we tried to reach out to him. No one knew where he went. He had just disappeared. It took them months to track him down. Oh, and over the weekend, he had returned his work laptop. So that was it. He left everything on his desk exactly as if he had just stepped out for a coffee. And it was the weirdest thing. So it took a few months to track him down, but when they finally were able to get a hold of him, it turned out that he had gotten a job at another company, and was too embarrassed to come face to face with anyone and say that he was leaving for another job. He just kind of abruptly disappeared, which was very bizarre. And we did find a box of chocolate-covered macadamia nuts, the kind that, my parents used to really love these, and so I kind of have, and my parents, I think, started eating them after they spent time in Hawaii. So chocolate-covered macadamia nuts are kind of a nod to my own family too, but they really were in his work closet or his work cabinets. Yeah. Keyes here refers to Weldon Keyes, an American poet who very famously disappeared. And he drove his car to the center of the Golden Gate Bridge and just disappeared, presumably jumping to his death. But there were rumors that he had actually faked his death and gone to Mexico or gone to other places. So I kind of speculate that Dan had done something similar. And the details about the cat named Lonesome and the Red Sox and those are details from the police reports and investigations of time period for Weldon Keyes, which I thought were really fascinating, like small details to include. Yeah. And I really love that image of like the programmer trying on their name for the first time in years. After feeling reduced to just, we were basically told that by HR at the games company that I worked for. We worked for a megacorp, so our division was just part of a gigantic hierarchy of, administration and other companies within companies within companies. And so frequently we'd get threatened, directly and indirectly, and made to understand that we were replaceable, that we could be replaced at a drop of a hat. And so we did feel like we were just mere variables inside of this larger equation, just gears, cogs in the big machine. So that's kind of speaking to that, but speaking to that sort of rebellion of taking back your name and stepping into the light instead of living always inside your cubicle network. Here's to freedom from oppression. Yep. Okay, so let's wrap up for tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for putting up with this rather short stream tonight because I was a little too tired to keep it together. We didn't die, so that's the good news. We have a fresh start here in we're not a fresh start, but we've made it to Coastal Highway. Hopefully we'll find a hammer somewhere, maybe at the Quonset. Maybe we'll find a bedroll along the way. So far, not looking good, but we never know. And we'll be back Wednesday night, I think is the plan. I'll let you know if there's any updates. And until then, take care. Have a great night, and we'll be back again soon. And then we should go find someone to raid. So let's do that. Okay, so finding someone to raid. Okay, so right now, Forge. Do I know any of these people? I don't really know any of these people. Oh. Where can we go? Okay, someone's doing Interloper. Only 18 followers. Okay, so this looks like a pretty new person who is planning to stream a lot of ELD. I don't know if they talk very much, but okay. We'll hop in, give them a try. Okay, so we're getting ready to raid. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. I am grateful for you being here, but I am pretty tired, so I am going to wrap up. We're going to try someone new we have not visited before, Tiger Bit for 20. See you on the other side of the raid. Thank you all. Wednesday,